Hi, today I'd like to talk about giving back. You know, the one thing that I've noticed throughout my life is things that continue to pop up. And the first thing I want to talk about is when I was a child or a young woman, a young mother, I always attended church. And in the churches, they would always talk about 10% tithes, giving back to the church 10%. And I always wondered what that was all about and why that was important and why they made that sound like a requirement. Because if you've ever been to church, the pastor, the priest, makes that sound like you must give 10% back, right? And there are some of us that are rebels that are like, really? And then there are some of us that give naturally because we want to see them make it or survive. The other thing that I noticed as I moved throughout my lifetime is I took a financial class once about how to better manage money, personal finances. And she talked about 10% savings and 10% charity. And I thought, that's interesting. That 10% is coming up again. To always save 10% of your income, which I think is a very smart way to do that, but also to commit 10% to charity. There's something about that commitment. There's something about putting a commitment that we're going to give back that helps with the energetic exchange within the universe. Most of us on a spiritual path, some of us are healers, some of us are readers, some of us are just on this journey for ourselves, but we all want to be in service to people. We want to help people. We want to better the lives of our family members, of our friends. We want to be committed. I've started to believe that it's really important to give 10% back to something. Maybe you're an animal lover and you want to give 10% back to the animal allies, or 10% to a shelter in your community, or 10% back to save some species of animals. Maybe your heart gets pulled to the homeless and you want to give 10% back by working in the food kitchen or helping at the food bank or collecting food to go in the food bank. Maybe you had someone that you truly loved, that you were close to, that you lost to cancer, and maybe your 10% is to go back to finding a cause to create a formula that will save people with cancer. Maybe that's where your 10%. Maybe as a teacher, a spiritual teacher, you want to give back to the community, and so you're going to give scholarships to people to attend your class that might not be able to afford it. Maybe you want to have a funding source so that you can give 10% of your services to people that may not afford it or may not be able to pay to have that service. Here's what I believe. I believe giving 10% back is universally important. I think when we give 10%, it comes back to us in tenfold. I think when we support and we're giving and we're putting our energies out there, and it comes back to us in a positive way. Think about, what are you doing today to give back? Do you volunteer? Do you give to charities? Do you donate? Do you give your time? What are you doing to give back to the world and the community? It doesn't always have to be money. It can be things. It can be time. It can be anything. But I think it's important that we all find ways to give 10% back in some way. I hope you found this to be very informational. My name is Vialet Rayne. I'm the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. You can check us out at www.discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. I hope you find a way to give back to humanity, to the world. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll check out our other educational videos on our YouTube channel.
Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Come experience the difference and discover your spiritual gift.